Joining me for this CEO Spotlight is Marshall Loeb, the CEO of EastGroup Properties. Marshall, thanks so much for joining us.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. Happy to be here.
Now, EastGroup's quarterly FFO climbed more than 10% in the third quarter this year. What were the keys to that growth?
Happy that we had the growth we did. Pleased with it. What's great is we finished the quarter 96% occupied, 97% leased. So markets are strong. We're full, and that means you can raise rents. So raising rents was one factor. The other factor that's helping us is we're a developer. So what was land, when it eventually becomes a leased building, that's a pretty big swing in our FFO. So we're seeing with that full buildings, we can keep pushing our development, few acquisitions rolling online, and then low interest rates always help. Our CFO reminds me of that's his contribution to our FFO. So it's a great, and it's a diversified mixed bag, but fundamentally strong markets.
Now, in terms of adapting to your tenants that are focused on online retailing, how do their needs shift and are differ from other tenants?
Where we fit within the e-commerce spectrum, or even shifting retail, we talk about last mile is probably where we play. We're not the large buildings on the edge of town. For some of our peers, nothing right or wrong, it's just not what we do. We're typically infill sites, smaller buildings, the 2-hour Amazon Prime delivery, those types. So we're not building specific buildings for that use, but what we love about it is it's a new source of demand. I'll go back to earlier when you're 97% leased and there's new sources of demand. And in retail, what we're seeing, Mattress Firm, for example, is one of our top 5 tenants. And that where retail shifts, before you would go to maybe one of them, I'll pick on them, strip center REIT peers, and they would have the inventory in back. Now they would maybe have a smaller footprint at a strip center, and because we're infill, we've got several locations where the mattress and box springs comes to your house later that day. So we're seeing that with any kind of large furniture, mattresses, things like that. So a shifting retail environment, because we're small buildings, infill sites, it's been a great new source of demand that wasn't there 2 years ago for us.
Great. And lastly, give us one prediction as you look at the industrial real estate sector for 2017.
I think the resilience is probably what I think. So maybe it's hard to say no change is a surprise, but I think people have been waiting for this cycle to end, and we really see supply in check and demand pretty strong. So unless there's some global shock, I think people have been predicting us being in the 8th or 9th inning, and I'm sick with the Cubs winning. It's extra innings, it feels like, so that's the good news.
Marshall, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, pleasure, Matt. Thank you.
For more from REITWorld 2016, be sure to visit REIT.com.